churchtalkradio.com. In the studios today, we have a wide variety of things we want to discuss. The studio is crowded. We got some folks from all over town with us today. We want to welcome you. And listen, this is election day. We want you to take your soul to the poll. If you haven't voted yet, get yourself to the poll, because a no vote is a yes vote for the opposite opponent. So we need you to understand that this election is very important. What you do, what you say right now is going to help us to accomplish our goals and the things that need to be accomplished and things need to be done. So we welcome you this afternoon to Manna Talks with Pastor Hayward. My co-host, Dr. Solomon, is engaged today. She's with the doctor. And she's with the doctor, y'all. She's with the doctor. She texted me last night that she has an appointment. And we miss her in the studio. She's a wonderful lady. I hope she's at the doctor like she said she's going to be at the doctor. You know, because you know what? One time she told her she was somewhere and she was at a beauty salon. She was sick one day. But I called her, "Hey, Doc. Love you, girl. Miss you." All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we just so happy to have you. Weather forecast for today, overcast, but listen, it's not cold, so you can take your soul to the poll, and I need you to vote. We have some folks who are going to be calling in a little later on live, so we are grateful that you've joined us today. All right, the news. It's just tragic that the shooting that took place in Texas over the weekend. My. You can't go to church and be safe in the house of God. I don't know where you're going to be able to go. Yeah. So we pray for the folks that are in Texas. We pray for those folks from Las Vegas. We pray for the folks that are in Manhattan. There's last year in Orlando. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in our country that we need the Lord to intervene for. So glad to have Michelle with us today, our chief engineer. Michelle, they can't see your hand.
Hi, hey.
Michelle is a wonderful, wonderful lady. Thank God for her. Always carries herself very well. And ladies and gentlemen, if you need a psalmist, please give her a call.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Call me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
please. Matter of fact, tag me on Facebook and I'll tell you how to get in contact with Michelle. She is an amazing, amazing talent and an anointed woman of God.
Oh, yes.
And if you need a ride somewhere, call her too.
No. We know.
That Camaro is sharp. That Camaro is something else. So, yeah, okay. There ain't no Uber.
Trouble already.
There ain't no Uber
showing
car.
no Uber.
All right, we want to welcome those folks who are listening to us in our local listening area, Massapequa, Lindenhurst, and Deer Park, Copac, Amityville, Central Islip, and all over the local area. And we got folks that are listening down south and out the country, so we want to welcome our radio listening audience that's overseas. So we're just glad to have you to come share with us. So we have some very special guests today. For the first time in the studio with me is Andrea Deloney, a powerhouse in our community, a community activist, and she's just in everything. And she's the, what do you do at NAACP?
So currently I'm just an active member of the NAACP, also a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated,
Here you
Rho
go.
Omega Zeta chapter.
Shout it out.
Proud member of a number of different community organizations, but most importantly, concerned citizen, born and raised, young professional millennial here in Amityville.
All right. I can hear you just now. Okay, all right. And then we have return guests. Kim?
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me, Kim?
Yes, now I can hear you.
All right. Kim Daniels is back with us today. She's a phenomenal lady, and I'm so glad that Dr. Solomon, when she can't make it, always sends me somebody that's comparable and capable of doing the job. So good to have you again.
It's good to be I'm a guest here. Thank you so much. I got the call last night, and I was like, oh, my God, yay. I'll do it.
All right. I saw your post, too. I saw your post last night. All right, it made me feel good. Yeah,
See
made me
that?
feel good. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is he's not a novice to radio. He's done radio with me a couple of times in Philadelphia. Happy to have my son, my only begotten son.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello.
All right, this is Justin, and Justin has came up last night to spend the day with his father. And I said, listen, man, come on up and do the radio show with me. And he said, all right, Dad. So he came on the train last night. And then last but not least, the security guard ain't got no weapon. The security guard, Barron, is in the studio with the cameraman, security man, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, why you say
He
that?
just
on
called you a
live,
toy
though? You
cop.
can't
I
let
know.
people know that he ain't.
No, I want him to think he ain't got nothing. Come up in here and see what happens. You know, watch, fight, and then pray. That's how we rolling. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are just grateful. And listen, it's election day. We have a number of local positions that are being contested today. In the town of Babylon, we have our supervisor, Mr. Rick Schaefer, deputy supervisor, Tony Martinez, district attorney position, Mr. Tim Sini, our police commissioner, the sheriff, Errol Tulin.
Mm-hmm.
That's right?
That's right.
All right. and listen, if he's elected, he'll be the first African American elected to a county-wide seat.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
big.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to make history today.
Yes, we
That's
are.
great.
We're going to make history today, and we're so grateful. And then we have a few judgeships that are available as well. So we're thankful. On past Sunday night, we had a Get the Vote Out rally at Bethel Church, and Andrea was the moderator. Did an excellent job.
Yes, she did.
Excellent
Thank
job.
you.
Excellent job. Kim, you was there?
Yes, I was.
Yes, you were.
Oh, that's right.
I had
your daughter.
I had
You and your
different
daughter.
hair
That's
though
right.
too,
You
so
and
that's
your
probably
daughter.
why. Yeah.
Michelle wanted to come. Michelle wanted to come, but she was
I
otherwise
had a good
engaged.
song for you too, but you know it's okay.
Really?
Ooh,
She got us next year for election.
No, she's gonna have us on Sunday.
ooh.
All right.
Hey,
What's going on Sunday?
Church, 10 o'clock.
My pastor is not letting me out. Shout out to Pastor Dawn Mixon. You want me to be killed and slaughtered?
My brother. Grace, mercy, and peace. Amen. Amen. All right, I want to give a shout out to my sisters listening in the island of Bermuda. If anyone wants to shoot us any questions you want to ask, we're going to talk about the election today. We're going to talk about the purpose and the importance of getting your soul to the poll and voting. And now listen, Andrea said something so key on Sunday night. And she said, it's not just your civic duty, but your right, but it's your responsibility to make sure somebody else votes. And that says a
Right.
whole lot.
Absolutely.
A whole lot. So tell our listening audience today, why is it so important to not miss the local elections?
All right. Well, oftentimes a lot of the day-to-day concerns and complaints that we as community residents have, many people don't realize and understand that the way we can change those things and the way that we can have new policies and new legislation passed is to participate in these local elections. Often, a lot of people think that if it's not the presidential election, then it doesn't matter. But ultimately, these local elected officials and these local judges, these are the representatives that we're going to interface with more frequently and more commonly than we think.
Yeah.
And so it's important that in order for them to fully understand what's going on in our backyards, in order for them to understand what issues we're having as people of color, you have to get out there and vote. You have to make sure that you're selecting candidates who are like-minded, whose policies and whose platforms are aligned with the challenges and the concerns that you have. Also, it's important that we're getting our brothers and our sisters and our neighbors involved in the vote, because anytime we don't participate in the local elections or we're not going out to vote, we're just giving a vote to our opposing parties. And then we sit back and we wonder how we have people like 45 sitting in Washington. And so it's important not only for that, but for people, millennials, people of my age group. So it's important that we're all actively involved in not only registering decisions.
Yeah. Now, also it's important that we need to remind the voters today is there are some policies or referendums that are on the back of the ballot, and the convention, the Constitution Convention, is on the back of the ballot, and it's something. Now I voted this morning at 6:30. Now I've been to vote. Barron went to vote after 7. All right. All right, come on, Chapman. Y'all better go to vote now.
Yeah, I have to vote as soon as I hit Philly.
Yeah, as soon as I get out too, I am doing it.
because of
Y'all ain't been to vote yet?
That's the
Listen,
first
no,
thing
well,
about
actually,
Let's
well,
Ask.
I'm waiting for my husband to get out of work because I want my kids and I want us to do it as a family.
Nice.
So, I'm going to do it. I've been talking about it all morning. I'd be dumb to, not do it now. I'm talking about it, trying to get people,
I
to
like
do
the
it.
lines to be less. I don't feel like waiting on one.
Yeah.
I want my sticker.
No, ladies and
Me
gentlemen.
too.
I got my sticker. I
Oh
got
my
my
God.
sticker.
Where is it?
I think late in the
voted.
evening, the
Where's
lines
your
lesson.
It's on my jacket.
I don't
my
like
change
long
jacket.
lines.
Yeah.
Oh, all
There's
right.
no line.
It's I was there
People ain't out voting.
at 6:30
That's early.
this
Yeah,
morning
Northeast
to vote.
when I get
And
out
I'll
of
tell you some really good stuff is that at 5:45 at my polling place, I was told there was a line.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yes, so
That's awesome.
so
good.
by 6:45, 7 o'clock, at my polling place, 100 people had already voted.
Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Good.
I'm gonna go to Northeast.
That's excellent.
That's awesome.
136. That's where I'm at. Okay.
That's awesome.
So listen, everybody. It's important for us to understand when you go to vote, turn the ballot over.
Yes.
There are 3 questions on the back of the ballot. The ballot. No, no, no. No, no, no. That's what I did. But you ain't got to do what I did. Okay.
Well,
All
so,
right.
so for that second proposition, it's pretty interesting because what that proposition states is that if any elected officials are founded on any charges of corruption, that their 401ks or something like that should be withheld or withdrawn. So again, it's important that you're educated on what these propositions state, what they mean, and what the direct impact of that can be on your local community. So again, get educated. We have the internet readily accessible to us via phone,
That's
via
not
computer.
effective.
So do
Yeah.
some
Not
research
effective.
before you head to the polls today.
All right, now then that's another conversation down the road. Okay, but make sure you vote. The number 3 question has to do with land and the usage of this land. Okay, so I think that land ought to be preserved. I really do. There had to be some preservation. Listen, everybody, America is big,
Yes.
huge. Why we gotta go all clamor in one little corner?
Yeah.
You know, just keep driving.
Right.
You're gonna find some land that nobody using. All right. So
Okay.
please, when you go to vote, turn the ballot over, and you'll find your 3 questions on the back, and read them carefully. Now, while you're reading who you're gonna vote for, if it says select 2, you select 2. 3, 3. Don't go in there and just it's not connect the dots. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Too.
Yeah.
Y'all like that?
That
That was
That
good.
was good. That was good.
Y'all quote me, okay?
We will.
You
Give credit
quote
where
me.
it's due.
That's right.
Give credit where
So
it's due.
it's important for us to go and vote on this today. The polls close here. My polling station closes at 9. Okay, and I'm going to be up because I got some people I need to talk with after the election is over and some celebrating to do
Yes.
Awesome.
for some new,
Yes, yes.
That's
some new
excellent.
elected officials. And in our, well, we want to maintain our town. We got some new folk in the county. I'm
Right.
grateful. Suffolk County ain't bad, you know. Suffolk
No.
County ain't bad. Can't nobody bad mouth my county.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, my county's all right. You live in Nassau County, Michelle?
Suffolk.
You in Suffolk? All right, you in. Barron used to live in Nassau County. He saw the light, came over. Came over the bridge. Came over the bridge. So it's very important that we get out and that we vote. So being that I'm one of the youngest in the room, all right, let me ask my son a question.
Yes, Dad.
You know, I had him young.
Playing with his tablet.
So what is the viewpoint of the millennials when it comes to this election?
When it comes to this election, I think we're so disgusted by 45 being in office is that we have to really dig in deep and see who is for us and who's going to benefit us, not only the millennials, but our children. My son's 10. So in 8 more years, he's going to be able to vote, and I don't want to there be a mess. You know, there's always a destruction left behind
Right.
from the previous, votes that happened before. And I think the millennials seem to not take it as serious. And I think it's our job as millennials to get the other millennials to go out and vote.
Absolutely.
Because it's vital. It's not just on the seniors or our parents, it's our job to take over.
See how you fix that? See? That's good, son. That was good. Yeah, that was good. Because you know what? There's something that you had said to me, the presidential election about Bernie Sanders. Remember that conversation?
Yeah.
And I wasn't too hot on Bernie Sanders, but I think he would have been our better choice than what we have now. That's my opinion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me do a disclaimer. The views and opinions are not necessarily the views and opinion of the radio station. All right, we'll get that clear.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's a done deal.
Right.
So it's important for us to make sure that we vote. Now, so this is one of the things, Kim, is why aren't we grooming other persons now to take over later on? We're going to need some new legislators. We're going to need some new council people down the road. As Justin just stated, we're getting older.
Right.
Okay? So we need to find people.
Right. I think the most important thing is meeting people where they are. I had the opportunity to, join you guys on Sunday, and I just want to commend you guys for such an amazing job on shedding the light on how important it is to really focus in on, our communities, because these leaders really have sound plans, and they really want to make change, but the change is not going to happen if we're not garbage up, whatever. And I only cared about the presidential election. And I realized that our vote doesn't even matter with the presidential election. And you're not even going to even meet the president ever. Like, it's rare that you do. And if you do, I will not want to meet this one. But I'm just saying the past ones, you won't have that opportunity. But these individuals that are local, you have access to them. You actually can call them on the phone, and you can actually have a conversation. You could schedule a meeting, and they're willing to meet you where you are. And I feel like the problem is we're not doing enough research. As a community, we're not really backing up what we say that we're concerned about. We talk all this good game. Oh, we need to do this. We need to have change. We need all of that stuff, but we're not really going forth. And I think a big part of it is fear. We're afraid. A big thing is fear. We're afraid that we're going to get shut down. But honestly, these people are willing and ready to meet us and really allow our voices to be heard, and they have sound resources. They have sound, connections. But if we just continue to stay stagnant or just stay dormant, it'll never happen. So I think ignorance and fear is a big problem.
Yeah, you're right on point. I'm telling you, you're on point because everyone I voted for today, I know them.
Right.
Everyone I voted for, I know who they are. Most of them know me personally, have my phone number, and that's important because I am tired of voting blindly.
Right. Yes. There you go.
You're going to legislate over me, I want to know who you are.
Exactly.
And my son would tell you that this just didn't begin for me. This has been going on for me for years in the political arena in Philadelphia, Montgomery County in Pennsylvania, and now here on Long Island. So I think you're right on point. Us knowing who we are voting for.
Right.
That's key. But now, this young lady sitting here to my right, Andrea, is up and coming, and
yes, she is.
My responsibility is to make sure that she gets where she's supposed to go.
Amen.
And not just because of who she is, but I promised that to her mother. I got to keep my word.
That's right.
That she's going to be elected to something.
Oh, yes.
One day soon.
Oh, yes.
Okay? There's something in the works that I was vying for, but I said to myself, it's Andrea's season now. Okay? So I'm going to be campaigning for her on a particular arena.
All right.
Real soon. Nothing political right now, but it's going to lead to some things later on down the road. And I know that she has the capability to do a good job.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
In what she's going to be looking at later on. So
Definitely.
I would rather be her vice president than her to be mine. I'd rather, just encourage her as she does the work.
Right.
Be that backbone, be that resource. I don't mind working for her because she's been such an inspiration and support to what I do.
Wow.
Not just at Bethel, but in the community as well. So we bounce stuff off each other a lot. So when she calls me, I can't tell her no. You know?
Better not tell me.
You know, I just see her mother sitting on that pew, and that pew looking at me like,
Those green eyes.
go up there, Pastor. Don't talk to me down here. Go up there and talk to me. So, you know, that's important.
Absolutely. I think that's what you just said. You pretty much answered your question, though. Yes, you did. Because this is what we need more of. You know, a lot of, unfortunately, millennials are really shunned. Unfortunately, we are told that we're hard-headed. We're told that we always just want things handed to us. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of us do. I'm not one of those, thank God. I was, you know, my mom, thank you, Lord, raised me very humbly. And, you know, I have an old soul, so I can't relate to a lot of the millennials. But it's so great to hear that there are still some people left, some seasoned people left that are willing to just be that backbone, be that support, you know, continuously planting the seeds. Tom Sini, that's how you say his last name?
Tim Sini.
Oh, Tim Sini, sorry. He said something that literally jolted my spirit on Sunday when he said, you know, I don't really want to go towards the, you know, the high schoolers or anything. I want to go to the middle schools, the kids that are in elementary schools, because that's where you start.
Yeah.
You start where they're young because they're still eager, they're excited, you know, and they're like sponges. Children are like sponges, so they take in everything.
Yes.
And if you plant that seed, like, you know what, you could be anything you want to be. You could be the best police officer, you could be the best this, that, and the third, and that will resonate in them. Like the scripture says, train up a child in the way they should go. That's a way that you do it. You encourage them and you say, you know what, I'm going to be here every step of the way. Even if you bump your head, I'm still going to be there. Even when you do great, I'm going to be there. So I really commend you for, you know, doing that, because there's some older people out there that have a lot of wisdom. You're the youngest one up in here. But there are a lot of seasoned people that still want to have control, and they want to do everything, and they don't want to give us the opportunity, even though we have sound ideas, we have sound vision, and we have the energy to carry it out. I commend you for, you know what, I got this idea, I really want to do it, but you know what, Andrea will be better for it, because these millennials ain't gonna listen to me. As cool as I am, as hip as I am, no shade to you, I'm just saying, you know, a lot of young people don't want to listen to older people no more because of what they already feel, they already get from the older people.
Right. Now, and I want you to hear what I'm saying very clearly, okay? Is that I understand when my time is up.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Right.
The last 5 years for me here have been phenomenal. Unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, my 5 years here have been like a miracle of God.
Wow.
But I know that when it's time for me to reach back to some fresh thinking.
Right, right.
Okay? Now, senior citizens are very stubborn. They don't listen. You know what I mean? They're sweet people.
I'm not going to agree too much because my grandma might be watching.
Grandma.
Grandma Allen.
Grandma.
She's exempt from that one. She always trying to do something. Love you, Grandma.
Grandma.
Most of them.
Grandma, you can go to her house for Thanksgiving, okay?
I'm going to her house.
Okay. So, but my point is, and seniors, I've learned so much from my seniors. And listen, I'm on my way.
Right.
I'm on my way. I'm 58.
Well, hallelujah.
You know, I look good for 58.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyhow, listen, I didn't look like this when I came here.
Good.
See what they done to me? But anyhow,
We take care.
I think you're on point. I think you're right on point, okay? Because, you know, Andrea comes up with some stuff that I've thought about. And I don't know who I'm going to talk to about this. And then here Andrea comes and says, Rev, listen to this.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Let's make it happen. Okay? Excuse me. So that is so important that we reach back. So I try to think 2 generations behind me. So I'm thinking my grandsons, their age group. What am I leaving for my grandchildren?
Right.
Okay? Now they ain't gonna be poor. And they
Amen.
ain't gonna be outdoors.
That's
I know
good.
that's right. Look, you're like, yes, Daddy. Yes.
Just, you want to talk to you? You know, because my wife and I are putting some things in place that once we leave this planet, our children are not going to suffer
Thank God.
like we did.
Right.
Okay? There ain't going to be a whole lot of money,
A little something, though.
but they'll have somewhere to live.
Right.
Okay? So the goal is to leave a property or leave some money. So if they need to buy a house, at least I got the down payment for you.
That's it.
If they ask for 20%, well, I'm gonna give you 40% to help you to get started. Okay. I think that is so important. So some of the things that we didn't get as older persons, I think it's important for us to leave for our grandchildren. The Word of God says, "Blessed is the man who leaves an inheritance for his children's children." So that's important. That's so important. So listen, Andrea, a lot of folks don't know what you do every day. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
So the actual job that pays me, I work as a strategic alliance coordinator at Northwell Health.
Very well said.
Because everything that I do in the community, it's all volunteer work. It's all work that goes towards my purpose.
Awesome.
But in my role, I serve
Wait, hold on. Hold on. We got a caller on the line, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, kid.
You got put on speaker.
Hello.
Did they hang up?
She better not hang up.
I think she did.
Okay. I'm her bread and butter. She shouldn't hang up on me.
You know what?
Let's see if we can get her back on the line. Yeah, she just called here. And you know, when Dee calls, she forgets that I'm on the.
I'm listening.
You're listening? All right, shout out to you. Turn your radio down. Shout out to you. Thank you for calling. And how's lunch going?
Good. I'm just going to lunch. Hello, radio listening audience, church radio.
Well, honey, they can't respond back to you. All right.
Okay, just saying
Yeah,
hi.
we're delighted to have my wife online today, and her favorite person is in the studio with me, Justin.
That's right.
And
Hi, son.
Hi, Mom.
can y'all talk later? All right. Hey, kid,
Yes,
did you go and vote?
I will when I get off work.
Please, when you get done, take your soul to the poll.
Yes.
Pick somebody
I
up.
will.
Get somebody walking down the side. Get somebody. Fill the car up. Take them to the polling station. Call your sister. Call your cousins. Call Pookie and Amanda and Billy Bob. And
Right.
call them.
Pookie,
And,
Amanda,
yes,
Billy
and
Bob.
Crystal
Yeah, right,
and
right.
Jason and Bucky.
And
Call them.
All them.
Go take your soul to the poll.
All them.
So listen, kid, before you go, make sure your students go to vote.
Yes, I encourage my students to vote.
No, make your students go to vote as a part of their grade.
That's a good one.
That is good.
All right?
They were like, where do
Okay,
I
have
go?
a great day.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, that's Miss Hayward, and she chimes in, and sometimes she forgets that it's radio time, but I'm so glad that she decided to call in today. All right, so listen, the job that pays you,
Yes.
the actual job that pays you, come on now tell us everything about you. Give us your resume.
So with this particular job, I work as an HR project manager where we oversee, my partner and I, we oversee the labor management partnership within one of Northwell Health's hospitals. So it's a great job. I think one of the things, speaking to what Kim mentioned before, is that as millennials, you know, we're blessed to be in positions that our employers are investing in us. So the fact that this year alone, I was able to go and receive a project management certification, not only does that skill set help me to excel professionally, but I'm able to bring that information, those skills, back to my community and assist with all the different organizations that I'm a part of. So I do that full time. And then outside of work, I'm a proud trustee at Bethel AME Church in Quebec. So
Amen.
Pastor Hayward keeps me very busy. And then, as I mentioned earlier, just a part of a number of different community-based organizations. I think what's important is that, you know, it's not about necessarily holding the title or having all of these affiliations to list on your resume, but it's about the relationships that you're able to build through all of these affiliations and the experience that you're able to gain from these different affiliations. You know, all of the organizations that I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to be a part of, you know, I've served in organizations where I'm working alongside fellow millennials. I'm a member of organizations where majority of the membership is 10, 20 years my senior. And so from that, not only am I able to, you know, have healthy debates and dialogue with my peers, but I'm also able to learn and gain wisdom from those who are part of the older generations. And that's what's so important. You know, Pastor Hayward, you mentioned before that, you know, members of your generation, working towards learning and gaining access to things that your parents didn't have. And unfortunately, to Kim's point, is when a lot of people gain that access, they don't want to get rid of it. They want to hold on to that. They want to call it theirs,
that's right.
as opposed to sharing it and paying it forward and passing it down. And, you know, we can't talk about millennials not being engaged when we don't acknowledge the fact that in order for us to step into different pipelines of leadership, we need experience. And in order to gain that experience, we get to serve as leaders within these organizations and in these different capacities. But when folks aren't willing to step back and say, okay, my time is up, it's time for you to step into your rightful place, how can we really say that as a community we're preparing our young professionals or millennials, or we're preparing our younger generation to be in a leadership role if the platforms that we have currently, we're not giving them that fair chance?
Now, what you just said, the key thing is because a fair chance. See, I can't say to you, all right, Andrea, I need you to take over this assignment and not give you some instructions, or not give you some
Right.
some know-how from what I've done. So, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to step back. And say, okay, listen, I'm gonna push you to get to where you need to be,
Right.
and I want to stand right here next to you. I'm not gonna let you fail. I'm not gonna see you fall. And you know, and I'm grateful because when I first met Michelle, one of the things that she told me I would never forget. She said, "Thank you for helping somebody." That meant a lot to me, right?
Wow.
So let me go back and say to her, thank you for not just acknowledging what was done, but how you continue to help other people.
Yes.
You think I don't know what you do. Right? So that's important. And I think that's one of the things that caused Michelle and I to click when we first started working together on the radio. So it's important. So, son, you as a young man, I want to say this to you. You've done very well, but you're halfway, and you ain't got time. Black males do not have time in America.
No.
In the next 20 years, a college degree is not going to be the most important thing in this country. You got to have a trade. You got to know how to fix something, do
The
something.
basics, yeah.
You know, and when my wife and I bought our first home, she was pregnant with Justin, and I know how to fix no house. My dad didn't teach me how to change this and do that. No, so I learned by hit or miss in doing things. Okay. So as a young man, there's so many opportunities that are there. What would you say to other young brothers who are not focused on making a difference when it comes to developing yourself?
What I would say to them is, do you know your identity? I think a lot of young men don't even know who they are or what their place is in life. And so they struggle with not making action towards a goal or, you know, making a difference because they don't even have a clue what, you know, because they have inner things. Like, that's one of the things that I aspire to do is to open up a help center that actually helps, you know, to where people know who they are, know their power in their community, what their voice means. Like my son Lawrence, he talks about he wants to be the president. Like, now who am I to say he can't do that? You know, he's 10 years old and he wants to be the president of the United States, and he's very aware. And I make sure my children are aware of what's going on. He told me he don't like 45. You know, at 10 years old, you have a 10-year-old that doesn't even like the president because of the way he speaks. That he sees like that's not right. Like, exactly. So it's like I make sure he knows who he is. And the young guys that's my age or in their 20s, they have to understand it's a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, what's important is now your generation's time to prepare to take over. Yeah. Okay? Listen, my schedule is so full. You see how we're running around this morning. My schedule gets so full. Van and I were running so crazy that I get sleepy. I fall asleep in the car while he's driving. And then he says, man, it's time for a nap. So I'm telling you that Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays for myself are so busy. So busy. And we just had half of the week. Okay? And then there are times I got to jump in the car, drive 120 miles down to Philadelphia, spend some time with D, and then do what I got to do in Philly, and then be back in New York by Friday night or Saturday morning. And then teach a class in the city on Saturday morning, and then come back and make sure that we get ready for Sunday, and then the cycle starts all over again. So sleep is overrated. Sleep for people who ain't got nothing to do. Listen, I keep working.
I can't remember the last time I got sleep. Good sleep.
You know, I fall asleep at my desk sometimes. And Sharon come in and says, Pastor, amen, I'm praying right now. You know, so it's important for us to be actively engaged in our communities and what our community does, okay? So now, Kim.
Yes.
You know, let me say this. Maybe Dr. Solomon ain't listening right now.
You know what?
Let me say this, right? All right, so listen. You have such an insight and a viewpoint on life in church as it involves community. And I have a lot of respect for that, right? Dr. Solomon, what I appreciate about her is she identifies the challenges that we have to make ourselves whole. I love that about her, okay? She's saying we're not. About time you said something nice about me. So listen, what would you say is the church's role in molding our community? What would you say our church's role is?
I think our role as the church, because we are the church, as believers, we are the church. I believe it's just meeting people where they are. I get so aggravated. I have a huge issue with people saying, come to my church, come to my church, come to my church. Okay, what's there? Like, it's hard to just get people to come in now. We have to be the church. The church is not the four walls. We are the church, so we have to meet people where they are. That's what Jesus did. He met people where they are, and he didn't just say, hey, you know, I am Jesus. No, he actually sat with people, and he listened, and as he listened to them, he ministered to them just by being who he was. Love. That was it. Not throwing the Bible in their face and throwing scripture. No, he just was who he was called to be, which was love. And you know, honestly, I think that's the huge issue with the church. We have a lack of meeting people where they are, and we do a horrible job with drawing people. We try to have all these conferences. We have these prayer sessions or these prayer breakfasts and then appreciations. No shade. Let me make this disclaimer because I have a lot of followers and a lot of friends that do these things. I have no shade to that, but I have a problem.
I'm going to speak to that in a minute.
I have a problem where where folk invite the same people and do the same thing, and there's no new people. There's no souls being won for the kingdom. There's no people being changed. We have this emotional high, this emotional rush. And then people leave and go about their business and doing the same thing. I have a problem with that. So I think the church's role is to meet people where they are and also really be about your community. Go out to your community, because I know with my church, I know with your church, we actually go out and meet people. We get people to come into our church, people that are a part of the community, and we bring them in and we actually give them the opportunity to be the voice of the community.
Now,
so
that's important.
Really what it is.
That's important.
The role is to really reach the community.
We have depended on town hall to fix our neighborhood.
Meanwhile,
That's not going to happen. I mean,
It
they
starts
do.
inside first.
It starts inside.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
The church
That's
is a
right.
hospital.
there you go.
And in the hospital, when you go to the hospital, you meet all sorts of people. You meet
Yeah.
the hurting.
Yeah.
You meet the broken.
Yeah.
You meet the drug addict. You meet the prostitute.
Yeah.
When Jesus was ministering, he encountered all kinds of people.
There you
Everybody.
go.
So when you go into the hospital, the church, you come there looking for someone to reach out to help you get fixed.
That's
whatever
right.
you're going through.
That's right.
Now, you know what's important? And I agree everything with what the two of you just said. But the hospital sent you home not healed.
And so does the church.
That's what's supposed to happen.
We don't address the problem right then and there.
Because
You're abandoned.
There you
you know,
go.
we keep talking about hard times. I don't like that. We're gonna talk about some
We
good
acknowledge
times.
it way too much, and I feel like that's what happens too. We go, it's like a cycle. We come to church, We get that. We get our fancy tickle. That's what it is. We get that. Oh, you're gonna be blessed. Oh, you're gonna da 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 da. No, I used to have issues being a single mom. Before I got married, I was a single parent, young, all over the place. I really just needed Jesus, and I really needed the Lord. And I would go to church, and I'm like, okay, I'm going through hell from Monday through Saturday, and when I go to church, I really need something that's gonna help me bring me out of my situation. And I'm tired of hearing you're gonna be blessed. Okay, I'm gonna be blessed, but my rent is all the way backed up. I don't know how I'm gonna pay this car note. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with these crazy people in my family. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this. I can't listen to that right now. What else can you do?
Now, check this out. Sunday, I talked about the best is yet to come. Right? And the process. Talked about Aaron and his role with his brother Moses. But Aaron had some problems. Aaron had some issues. But God said to him, get up. Hello, the alarm clock is going off. Get out the bed. Get up, man.
And that's what I was just telling somebody about my brother. You have to get up and make an effort to do something for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a choice.
So he says to them,
stop being dependent on other people though too at the same time, because sometimes that will drain the life out of you.
Right.
And exercise, as leaders, we need to also exercise our right to discern what's really ministry and what's just, you know.
But you can't prophesy I'm going to get a new car.
No, I don't need to hear
And
that
you
no
can't.
more.
Right. Now,
And you can't make the car payment.
Now, check this out. Check this out.
We gotta teach
And I
people
tell
about managing
folk,
their finances
do
first. Don't
not
go there and try to get
ask
approved you
for
can't
a bigger
maintain.
house if you can't pay for the small one.
Listen, God will
Right?
give you small, and He will trust you with the little. And if He could trust you with that, that's where the increase comes in.
Right. Now, check this out. The Word of God
They want
says,
big, they don't want to
my
start.
people perish because of lack of knowledge, right? So I'm more of a teacher. I bring preachers in. I want to teach my congregation, right? Wednesday night in Bible study, I teach my people.
Right.
Okay? Now, I'm going to drop something on y'all right now that you never knew. You ready for this?
Ready.
Yes.
It's a word. Quanna. Quanna. You ever heard that word before?
No.
It means jealous God. You know Jehovah Rapha.
Come on, son.
But nobody talks about Quanna. So I dropped that on my 8 o'clock folk on Sunday morning. See, and this is the kind of stuff that we need to know, we need to learn.
That's right.
All right? And that's one thing I thank God for Bishop Luda, because Bishop Luda
break it
stretches
down.
me.
Oh, he's a teacher. Oh, yeah,
He
listen.
stretches me. I'm telling you, I work for Bishop Luda on Tuesdays.
Take a word and just...
Yeah, I mean, and
You have no excuse.
he makes me go back to my studies. He makes me to go stretch and go beyond the norm. You know, the man is a walking encyclopedia. He's a brilliant man.
Yes,
He's
he
a brilliant
is.
man, and I thank God for how he is in my life and how he pushes me.
And he believes in education.
Yes.
The whole family
Which is
believes in
awesome.
education.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So in church, you're right. We can come and be primed emotionally, but when you walk out that door,
My God.
There's the challenge right there.
You
You have to
gotta
take
be
the word
equipped.
You need
and
meat.
that's it.
Yeah.
You get that
Yeah.
you get the
Meat
word,
sustains
you.
but also the word should challenge you.
Right.
I came in one way. I came in broke, bruised, whatever the case may be, and the Lord just dropped a whole heavy
Right.
load on me. What are you going to do with the word that was spoken to you?
Right.
Are you going to sit on it? Are you going to just nibble at it? Or are you just going to give it to everybody else but yourself? Because a lot of people do that too.
Right.
Oh yeah, in church we did da-da-da, and da-da-da-da, and you need to do this. No,
You
no.
should've
You
been
need to
there.
take it for yourself.
that's right. Because it's about
And then-
personal verification.
Yes. Work out
Okay?
your own soul salvation.
So listen. So let me give this spin on this. Right. So no one in Bethel Church should be unemployed.
That's good.
Nobody. Okay. And if you are looking for a job, you're a member of Bethel Church, come to the office. Sharon's got a binder full of jobs.
Look at that. Resources.
Our bulletin board full of jobs. I just got yesterday. I'm trying to remember the agency needs 10 positions.
Wow.
Today I got sent some information that this one tech company needs 100 positions.
Wow.
100
Y'all hear that,
positions.
right? There's positions open.
But listen, the thing is this. I'm not going to come to you and say, hey, wake up. It's 7:30. Go to work. Here, go get this done. No, if you're hungry,
You gonna
Go
go.
get it.
I want to know how
gonna get
hungry
it.
you are.
Right.
That's
So
right.
it's the same thing with the Word of God. If you're hungry, we open. Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, we come to pray. You know, prayer changes people. You know, And we come, and then our teaching hour, and then our worship experience. I love worship, but I love my worship to be vibrant. Okay, but at the same time, send me home knowing something.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
No one in Bethel Church should be uneducated.
I think that's what any church does.
So listen, we offer college degrees.
See that?
Okay.
That's good.
Now and then we just put a housing corporation together. In a few years, we're gonna help you out, show you how to get a house.
That's
All right. Matter of
That's
fact, I
awesome.
got somebody coming in tomorrow morning for health care, and then tomorrow night for health care, and then just
See,
finish
that's
writing
awesome.
and just finish writing a document, and partnering with a funeral home about burial insurance.
See that?
So if you're a member of Bethel,
You said.
you should be all right.
Yeah.
Well, this is, and you know what, and what the
So-
thing that you're setting the trend though. You're setting the tone because that's another lack of the church. We're not going out of our way to bring the secular jobs in to really build up the kingdom. Because
But you know what?
we all have a job to do. But if we don't provide just the resources, we're just saying, okay, we got the word, we got prayer. Okay, that's nice. But you know what? You need a job. Sister such and such has this, brother such and such, and we have
Yeah.
people that are coming out
But
that are
see-
doing it. So you're setting the trend for that, and that's
But see,
awesome.
a lot of things that we're doing now, I've talked to about this? Andrea. Andrea, what about this?
Yeah.
And she'll come in, Rev, I've been thinking about something. You think we could do this? Yeah.
See that?
Listen, before I got here, a phone call, Pastor Hayward. This one company wants to do a clothing drive and
Wow.
a food drive.
Wow.
And they need a church. Bring it to Bethel. Bring it to us, right? And it's not exclusively for us, because what we want to do with Manna is be able to share all these resources with everybody.
See that?
Okay,
See
we
that?
worked on some resources for a year and put together a resource binder. It's about 4 inches thick.
Wow.
You want a carpenter, you want health care, whatever you need is in that binder. So now what we're doing now is going to put it all on flash drives and give it to every pastor.
Awesome. That's
Yes,
awesome.
that's
It's for your
I
church.
love
It's
that
for your
idea.
church.
That's very
You're
important.
sharing the wealth, if you say. And I think a big issue with the church is that there's so much competition. I feel like that.
Everything, yeah.
I feel like that with the church though, it's a huge thing. Don't share this idea because they might get it. No. We're about kingdom building. We're
Right.
supposed to do
Right,
this.
right.
This is what
So,
God
and I'll
wants
give
us
you an example.
to
I don't do backpacks any longer because Pastor Day across the street does it so well.
do. Give it to them.
Right, and does it better than I do it. Okay, and we do the moon bounce and all that kind of good stuff. But Pastor Day has a different spin on it. I'm like, wait, why should I? No,
When they got that right.
And if I got resources, I could direct towards his church and help him to do what he does, right?
Right.
So the connectivity and community, Pastor Willie, Pastor Dave, myself got together with Quick Checks. No, it's a Quick Checks. Yes, they're coming. And they're going to be across the street from Bethel.
Wow.
We got together with this corporation. They actually took Pastor Willie and Pastor Day to another facility to see what it looks like before we even start digging a hole in the ground. I couldn't make it because of an engagement. But those are the kind of things in the community that we have to do. Because I need to know what the town board is talking about.
Yeah.
I
You
need
gotta
to
be right
know
there.
what the sheriff's department is doing. So on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. at Town Hall, in the conference with the board meeting room, in the auditorium, is the next town board meeting, which will be conducted by our town supervisor, Mr. Rick Schaefer. Please come out. Please come out. The meeting is never long. They're on point. And if you want a chance to say anything, you'll fill out a card and they give you an opportunity to share. But now it's important for us to do this is because if we don't speak up, things happen that we don't even know about. And then we ask the question, oh,
Reactive
well,
instead of being
right.
proactive.
So when
There
did this
you go.
happen?
That's what
When
it
did this
is.
come out? When did this policy get passed? Right? So I go to these meetings. It's important.
Awesome.
School district board meetings.
That's
Right?
very important.
They
We
are
go.
very important.
We go. And Andrew can tell you, it ain't 3 or 4 of us. And we take 80, 85
church.
people.
Good.
Bible study.
Right?
Good, and
Yeah.
that's important. That's I believe like with the I noticed I was I had a question about the vote no the stickers, and I'm like, why is everybody saying that? And then I got the clarity on Sunday, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So many people will be affected by that if that takes place. And I think people really, really, really need to understand how important it is to vote no. And I was sharing that with one of my fellow millennials, but they kind of shut me down. But I said, listen, your job could be at stake. You have a great job, but guess what? You could be stripped and your kids can suffer. And not just that, like your kids will suffer through education. Listen, there's a lot of districts that are suffering, and it breaks my heart. And there's so many kids that really have a lot of potential, but now their schools are in the hands of the state.
That's right.
And it's really, really bad. Like,
That's
you
right.
have to understand how imperative this is. And all the people that do get voted in, whatever things that they implement, it could get overridden. So you have to be very, 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 very serious about this. This election is way more important than last year's. Very important. Your voice truly will be heard. It's very, very serious. I can't stress it enough.
This is some key stuff. This is some key stuff that we're talking about.
It affects everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that goes back to what you both were just talking about before, is that so often when we talk about community issues or community affairs, we start to isolate one another. So we say, well, what is the church, the black church, responsible for? What are our elected officials responsible for? What is the school board? You know, what are they doing? And we're always pointing the finger, but we're all the community. And so those who are on the school board should be well-versed and educated on what's happening with the black churches in the community. The black churches should be concerned and educated on what's happening with local politics. Residents should be aware, or at least have some level of education around all of these things, because we are all a part of the community. And so if we're not working together, if we're not collaborating, if we're not sharing resources and information, so long, and I said this a few months back when we had an event here actually, is that my lane is my lane. God put me on this earth to fulfill a purpose that He ordained over me. I have my lane, I have my strengths, but I also have my weaknesses. My sis Kim, she has her strengths and she has her weaknesses. So like Pastor said with his partnership with Pastor Day, if I see that Kim is going full steam ahead on her strength and her initiatives are moving ahead, and I know that the big picture is all leading towards the greater good and a win-win for all of us, why am I going to now reinvent the wheel and try to create something that I have no business creating?
There you go.
Right.
As opposed to doing what I'm doing great, supporting what you do great, and us all working towards the same end goal.
Now, I think it's important for us when we look at our males, okay? Now, men have done some good things, and men have made some major mistakes in life. Well, okay. All right, how long are we going to look at milk before we wipe it up? So I can't linger on things that go wrong, because the word says to strengthen those things that remain. So if I want to strengthen those things that remain, I can't focus on the negative all the time, because there's a positive piece, okay? Because if something happens to Andrea and she comes to me and Pastor, I messed up, I'm not going to treat her no differently than I treat her now.
There you go.
All right, so that's key and that's important. So, and for our last few moments, I want each one of you to take a minute, and I want you to say, what do you think is important in the redirection that our country needs to go in? And I'll start with Kim, then Justin, and Andrea.
I'll just keep reiterating what what I've been saying before. Just meeting people where they are, raising awareness. Being the voice that needs to be heard. All of us here have leadership roles, and I believe that us as millennials, we need to really take that step to really let our voice be heard for our millennial culture. There are sound visions and purposes that have to come out. So I really believe that it's important that we just share.
All right, 30 seconds, Jess.
Knowledge is power. You need to figure out, what opportunities are out there, because they are out there for people who worked and people who was in prison, getting out of prison. There's still opportunities for people day in and day out.
All right, 30 seconds, Andrea.
Get educated. Now is not the time for mediocrity. If you want to get into this field of doing the work, make sure you're doing it to the best of your ability.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the last several minutes to ChurchTalkRadio.com. This is Pastor Hayward. Listen, take your soul to the pole. You got to 9 o'clock tonight. Find yourself in church on Sunday morning. Hey, listen, your life is a gift from God. What you make of it is your gift to Him.